everyone, Karen here, and today we're going to be making this pop-up card that uses Karen Burniston's fence, and we're going to turn it into a bridge. So let me get all the pieces together, and I'm going to show you how I did this. Alright, so let's start with the sets we're going to use today. So this is 1165 Tiny Gnomes. We have 1172 for the fence. That's what's going to make the bridge pop up. And then I'm also going to use the little band boxes, which is 1238. And that is the band box with these little grass pieces that we're going to use. So let's first talk about the front of the card. Let me move this over to the side a little bit. Move this over. So this is the 5x7 tent fold. And I did use this, I just took a piece of 14-inch paper, folded it in half, and then cut it to 5. I do have long paper. If you don't have the 14-inch paper, what you can do is cut one 5x7, one 5x7.5, score the half-inch line, fold that over, and then glue the two of them together to make your card base. Alright, so let's talk about the front of the card, what we're going to do. So I have a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 that I'm going to ink. Now I'm going to ink this blue. We're going to have sky, and then we're going to have some grass down here on the bottom. So today I'm going to use, I have ocean mist, and I have powder blue to ink the back. Now I'm going to start off with the ocean mist. And I'm just going to kind of go around. Now for the grass in the bottom, I have a piece that is, this one's 1.5 inches, and this one is 3/4 of an inch. Now what I'm going to do here is I want to put a little bit of texture in it, because when you just put them on top of each other, the card starts to look a little flat. So what I'm going to do, very simply, is I am going to take my scoring tool, and I am just going to poke this into a soft mat. Now this works really well if you use a mouse pad. Use the back of your mouse pad if you don't have a soft mat like I have here, and just kind of poke it all over the place. That's probably enough. So now I'm going to ink this with dark spruce. Now this time I'm going to use a sponge instead of the brush, and the reason being is I just want to catch the top of these, and that's a little bit harder to do when you use a brush. So let me flatten this out a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to come across this like this. And I'm just going to catch those little pokey bits I put in there. My thought was that would kind of look like, you know, just a little bit of grass there. Now I'm going to go across the top, darken that a little bit. Now, you'll see this has a curved edge to it. Now this one here, I already put the pokey pieces in, but it's straight. So what I normally like to do is I like to take a pair of scissors when I'm doing ground and kind of just make a little wiggly line across the top. You just want to make sure you don't have any sharp corners. And I just think it makes it look a little bit more like ground. So now I can ink this one. Now these will get glued like this. And that will be my ground. And see, it just kind of looks like, you know, little bits of grass growing up once you put all the figures on there and everything. So that is now done. So now let's glue this front together. And just use your favorite glue. Take this piece. And this is about 3/4 of an inch. And the one on the back is about 1.5 inches. line those up together. So it looks like we have a nice little grassy hill. This will get glued on the bottom. So this is 6 3/4 long. So it will go edge to edge on my 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. This will just go along the bottom here. Hold it up, make sure we're all lined up. Put a little more glue here. Alright, so now we're ready for our gnomes. Now let's bring in the gnome tray, because I have all the pieces cut out for the gnomes. Now I've started with a couple of gnomes here already made, but I'm going to make one here. So this gnome has a head, it has a nose, some little hands, then there's a hat, a body, feet, hair, and some other little accessories you can put on it. So the eyes are put together, because if you look at the die, see there's holes here? And that is that's her stencil. So you just take a pen and just go through the holes and it will line up the eyes for you. Alright, so let's pick some hair. So I'm thinking, let's see how much room I have on the front, how many gnomes I can fit here. So the front of the card is going to say, have a gnome-tastic birthday. And that's going to be over here. So let's see how much room I have. I was thinking I was going to have room for 3 gnomes, but let's see if 3 are actually going to fit. Oh yeah, I can put 3 gnomes on the front easily. Alright, so let's make another gnome. So I'm going to start with the beard. I'm going to put that down on the bottom of his face. Like that. Then I will put his mustache on. Go like that. Now his nose will go over the top of that. And I'm just going to put a little dab of glue here. Grab my pickup tool. Put his little nose on. Now I'll take a little hat. Put his hat on the top. And there are 2 different hats in this set. Now we'll take his little body, attach that. Now with the beard, you can make your gnomes a little taller or shorter. Because if you want to, you can bring his body down a little bit and make him look a little taller if you need him to be. Place him where you want. Now we'll put a little dab here for his hands. And you put the hands on, if you think of your hand, the thumb is going to be, toward the body. So let's see. Don't put these on backwards. Make sure I have one of each here. All right. So let's put this one on this side. And this one will go over here. Our little gnome is done. Here's the little gnome. Alright, so now if we want to put 3 on the front, put that over here in case we need another one. So we'll put 1 here, and we'll put 1 over here, and maybe this little guy over here. We'll put her over here. Alright, so now I need to decide what color, because I have a shadow here, so I need to decide what color I want to color that. And I am thinking I will go with maybe a nice yellow. Alright, so let me grab some foam to put this together. Now my little gnomes, I think I want to use a little piece of foam behind their heads, just to give the front of the card a little dimension. So now let's talk about the inside. Alright, so the inside, I have two 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 that I'm going to glue down to either side here. We'll just start with that. Alright, now we'll set this aside while we construct the bridge. Alright, so here are the pieces we're going to need to construct the bridge. Now what we're going to need here from the bridge, we're going to need the big piece here, the rectangular piece here, and the square piece here. Now this is one that's already done. So just so we can see exactly what's going to happen here. So what's going to happen is this is going to be in the card, and as this opens and closes the card, this is going to open and close. So when the card is closed, the bridge is flat, and then as you open your card, it pulls it open. So let's look at the back of this. So we're going to glue one end flat against here. Our sliding piece is going to be here. And then this piece is going to come through the very first little triangle here and glue to here. Okay? So the slider piece is made with the square piece that you're just going to fold along the little score lines that are in here. Now when you fold it, you want to make sure that your rectangle piece here is going to slide in here freely. Before you glue it down, just give it a little test. Looser is better than tighter. So now let's get the glue. And let's glue this down. And I have this in a contrasting color so we can keep track of it and it'll be a little easier to see. So that's going to be a little easier to see. So the one side here has a little fold on it, so we're going to fold that side. And it's the other side that gets folded down. Now, before we get any further, what I want to do is talk about how we're going to make this look like a bridge instead of a fence. So I have a piece of paper here that is bigger than the fence. Now, it doesn't really matter the shape or size. It depends on what you're doing. When I've made these before and I'd made a pet sympathy card, I made the edge straight because it was supposed to be the rainbow. This time I wanted it to be a little bit rounder because I want it to look like a garden path. But either way, you just cut it bigger than your fence piece. And that's really all you have to do. As you can see, it's probably about a ½ an inch bigger. But it doesn't really matter. As long as you put this in the middle, this piece can be any size you really want it to be. So first let's fold these over, because the two ends do get folded, just so we can remember. Now let's look at the one we have already made. So we're going to look at the back, and we're going to put some glue here, because that's going to be attached here. We're going to stick that in here, and we're going to attach it right to where it's covering all the little triangles. You want it lined up with the triangles in the middle here. Okay. Now we're going to flip it over. Make sure we're staying nice and straight here. We're going to fold that over. We are going to put this through the middle piece here. Fold that over so your little tab is hanging there. And now we're going to wait a second because we have to attach all this together. Alright, before we continue on with that, we do need to attach our bridge. Now, this doesn't look much like a bridge right now, so the first thing I want to do is run it through this cobblestone embossing folder. So I'm going to put it at an angle because it doesn't really want to fit the other way. Because this is only a 6x6 embossing folder. And I'm going to run this through my machine. Alright, so now we have the cobblestone print in here. So now what I want to do is I want to take some charcoal brown, and I'm going to use a sponge again, because once again I only want to go across the top here. Now this is the one tricky part to all of this. It's the way we glue this together. So I'm going to go on the back here and glue this to the back. Now this, I need this to be the back piece because this needs to be glued into the card. So that's the important part here. So now I need to glue this down. So I'm going to glue this side. I'm going to glue this. I'm going to glue on this side, and I'm going to go down the top and the bottom, but I'm going to leave the middle part free. Alright, so now I need to take a craft knife, fold that back out of the way. Now where this triangle is here, this very first triangle, I need to cut that away. So I'm going to take some scrap here so I don't go through my mat. I am going to cut away all of that. Now before I glue it, I need to make sure I cut enough away. This is going to fit in here. And that does fit. So we're good. Make sure it looks neat from this side. I can take my little scissors. I can snip that. Make sure I have a clean edge here. And if I want to, I can take my ink and go back over it. There we go. Now we're all set. So now what we need to do is this is going to slide under here. It's just like the way we folded this part of the fence, we need to fold the bridge in that same spot. We need to fold there, and we need to fold here. Okay, I need to make sure this, let me put a little bit more glue here. Yeah, it's coming up a little bit. Alright. So now we've had this has had a second to dry. So now it's time to thread this. So this loose piece here with our little tab is going to go through the opening. We're going to flip it over and push the tab down. And then this will get glued to here. So we'll put some glue here. And this will get folded over the top. So we're folding right here at the thick piece, just like you would if you were making the bridge. All right, give that a second to grab. All right, so now let's bring in our base. And let's put this in the card. So this, where this little tab here, is going to go to the left-hand side. And this is going to get folded over and glued right in the crease of the card. You're going to want to get glue on this whole thing and glue this down. Alright, so I'm going to hold up this card. I'm going to slide it right here in the middle. Press down. Make sure we're right there in the crease. And close my card and let that dry for a moment. And let me get some of this ink off my hands. Alright, now this has had a second to dry. And now you can see your bridge is now starting to open and close. So now what we need to do is we need to move this, we need to glue this into the card. So what we want to do is we want to have this to where we're going to get the maximum amount of bridge to open up. So we want to make sure we're not pushing it over too far. So we want to push this over to the right, and we're going to glue this down. So that way our card has the freedom to go back and forth. Alright. So I like to push it a little bit toward one side, but not all the way over to the edge. We're going to close this down, and I'm going to close the card. And that is what's going to hold this whole card together. So we do need to let that dry. Now let's see. So now our bridge, I put an extra little crease in there so that will sit down a little bit better. So now our bridge is open and our bridge closes. Just like that. So now we can place our gnomes where we want them. And we can place our inside message. So first let's decide on the message, because that's the biggest thing we're going to put in here. Let that dry for a moment. Let's bring the scratch paper back in. And I think I'll do yellow like I did the front of the card. Now this is all going to be flat. The inside is, may your day be filled with garden magic. And this will be over here. So let's look at the gnomes. Let's bring those in. Alright, so this is where we're headed. I want to put 3 of these in the card. What this is has the little band box in the back. It's 2 layers of the grass and the little gnome on top. Now the grass is part of the small scenes band box. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different grasses you can put in there. So I'm going to use the hilly one and the spiky one and the grass one right here. I'm going to use these 2 and layer them together and put the gnome on top. And this is the piece for the band box. Now I have a couple of those already cut out. So when you cut that, it looks like this. So the first thing you have to do is let's get all of these fold lines folded. So the middle one here, between your holes, is going to be a valley. Then you're going to have 2 mountains. And then another mountain. And the other one on the end will also be a mountain. You're going to have something that looks like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to glue the dots together. The little holes are going to get glued together. And they need to line up. Like this. And then we're going to take a rubber band, and I'm using number 12s, and these are a little big. I believe she recommends 8. Let me look on here. Number 8. But I have 12s, so that's what I'm using. So because this is a little big, I am going to, let me do it this way. I am going to double my rubber band. I'm going to put it on here, and then I'm going to take it one more time and around. And make sure everything's in the little holes here. Alright, so after this have had a second to dry, so this flap here that you have that you glued together needs to fold to the top. And you want to fold it up toward this little smiley face here. Then you're going to grab your elastic, go over your flap, and go through the little eyeballs of the little smiley face. Because see, when you look on this side, it looks like a little smiley face. And that, when you do that, your box will come together. So then this side will come up, you fold this over, this folds over, and you glue it together, and that forms your box. Just like that. Now you can squeeze your box together. Make sure you're all lined up, because you want this straight, and you're going to want to let this dry for a moment. So just let that dry. So I have one I did earlier. So this one's all set. So this is where we're headed once again. So we have our box. I have the grass piece that are going to go together. And I have done the same thing as I did with this grass. I poked it, and I'm going to ink over the top of it. So now let's glue these pieces together, because I want to put 3 gnomes on here, I believe. And I'm going to glue this not straight across the back. The spiky one is going to be a little bit taller than the other. That's just because I want it to have a little bit more height. And then they go together like this. Let's do the same thing on this one. And put this one behind her. And here we go. Now we're going to put the band boxes behind here to get them to stand up, because the way this works is you will glue this part into your card, the bottom, and then they fold backwards. See, they pop up and fold back. Now, depending on how you glue this, they'll either fold backwards or forward. And this one will go here, so he will fold back and he will fit in the card just fine. So let's go ahead and glue him in. So we'll glue him over here. So he's all set. Now for this side, I wanted to put 2 more gnomes on this side. But if I put one up here, he can't fold backwards because he'll stick out of the card. So I have to do it the other way, to where it folds forward. So see where the elastic sticks out? That's the part that's going to fold down. So you could either glue this part down and it will go forward, or you flip it over and it's on the top, and now your card folds back. Your gnome will go backwards. So if you put him on the bottom, he goes forward. If you put it on the top, he will go backwards. So I need the one that I'm going to put on the top to go forward. So I'm going to put the elastic on the bottom, glue that one on there. And the other one, which should be dry now, I need him to go back, so I will put him on the top. Now I want to put these together first because I want to make sure they're not going to hit each other. So this one's going to go back, so I'm going to glue this side. And we'll put the grass on. So that's going to go on here. Right. same thing here. Make sure we're gluing the right spot. So this needs to go forward. So we're going to attach the grass to here. That will be here. Now if you're putting it in the middle of the card, it really doesn't matter if they go forward or backwards, but it's just nice to know that you can make them go either way to get this card to do what you want it to do. Because when this closes, let me glue this down. I think I will put this over here. So our little gnome will be over here. So when this card closes, this is going to come over here. So you want to make sure you're also not hitting that. So this is going to be down here, and this one will be way up here, as far up. And actually, I may turn that one a little bit. Nope, this one will be fine this way. Okay. So let me get my two little gnomes. I have a little girl gnome. And we'll put her in. Actually, I want to put her up here. Now, so she will come down this far. So I think this one, I'm going to put all the way down on the bottom. I may need to move her. Okay. So he will go up here. I guess she's going to stay there. All right, so let's glue her in first. I may need to trim the top one a little bit. So she will go here. Let's make sure when the card closes, it's not going to hit her. Oh, we're good. That's not going to hit her. Now this one here is going to need to be I'm going to put that like right about here. And put that way at the top and way over to the right hand side, because he's going to go down. Alright, now let's make sure we're not banging into anything here. So we'll push her down, we'll push her down, push him down, close the card. Alright, so let's look. Have a gnome-tastic birthday. Let me move it this way so I can see it a little better. And there we have it. All three gnomes. So I hope you liked this card. If you did, give me a thumbs up, because that is indeed how YouTube counts everything. And consider subscribing to my channel, because I will have a couple cards a week. And until next time, stay crafty.